I'm sure all of you came here with the same question. Can a little chubby Chinese panda swim? I'll spoil it for you, surprise surprise, it can't. Okay, calm down. All of you can still tag along for the ride and maybe we'll learn a thing or two about making crankbaits. I wanted to make something unique, something different, but of course when you go into unknown territory, things don't always go as planned. I asked a colleague to draw me a random animal so that I could turn it into a lure. She came up with the bear and I gave him a little head so I could add a lip without it looking out of place. Because the shape is so complex, I decided to make this one out of 2 halves, and this way making lead holes is really easy and fast, and it makes it easier to add fancy stuff like a rattle. I also gave the bear little floppy arms, which you can see me make here, to give the bear an extra rattle. Even these arms didn't really end up working, as they stayed almost perfectly still while reeling the lure in. I'm not showing most of the shaping because I don't think anyone will try to replicate this one. I'll just be showing the techniques I think could be handy when making a proper 2-half lure. Right here, for example, I'm using a technique for inserting the lip that I haven't seen anyone use on YouTube before. The lip I'm using is a big spinner blade that I cut in half, and because it's so thin, I needed to use the thinnest handsaw I had to give it the perfect fit. Once again, this lure being made out of 2 halves helped me do things you just can't accomplish with a one piece. I can't think of any way to drill or cut a slot that thin with that same depth. This was also my first time using a spinner blade as a lip, and I actually found this very clean and easy because I didn't need to do any shaping. The shape was already pre-made, which results in a very uniform and clean looking lip. Because I sawed almost all the way through the bear's head, I needed to fill that gap back up again, so I used some really thin strips of beechwood that I made on my table saw, and these can just be glued in place with super glue and then sanded flush to the wood. That's the beauty of working with wood that won't be visible due to the paint we put on after the blank is finished. It doesn't matter how much you screw up, you can fix pretty much any mistake you make by filling any holes or cuts that are too deep with the technique I'm using here or with super glue and sawdust. I've had plenty of blanks that were almost completely finished, but then I drill an eye socket too much to one side or the other, or drill a line tie all the way through, one drop of superglue and sawdust, and it's like it never happened. Talking about superglue, it's not the best choice for gluing the two halves together, as I found out the hard way right here. The glue dried before I had the chance to slide in the alignment pins, resulting in my halves not being lined up perfectly. Luckily I wasn't too far off, so I could just sand the seams flush again. Next time though, I'll be using a waterproof D4 wood glue to save me the hassle. As you might have noticed, I didn't put any steel balls into the head cavity. That's because I'm going to fill that one up with lead. I'll drill a hole in the back, because that's easier to sand flush than the front, and I'll make sure to drill a small vent hole above the first one, so the air can escape out of the cavity while pouring. On this floor, the lip slot and the lead hole are connected, so I need to insert the lip before pouring, so the lead can form around the lip instead of filling up my slot. Now the reason for failure is that there's just too much wood at the back of the lure, so at the feet, causing it to float feet up. To counter that, I had to keep adding weight in the bear's belly, which isn't really good for a crankbait. You'd want most of the weight right around the line tie near the head of the lure. I used this metal cutting disc to cut slots right beside the cavity in the belly, which could then be filled with lead. I'm using argon pellets that I squish with pliers, and I also drilled an extra hole in the belly to put in a couple more lead pellets and steel balls. Another solution would have been to make the bear swim feet first, but the problem is that it just wouldn't look natural to a pike. I mean, have you ever seen a bear do a backstroke?
No, not for me.
Well no, neither have I, and I'm sure the pike haven't either. Anyway, this lure was still a great way for me to learn some more techniques to use on other lure builds. To everyone that made it this far into the video, I hope all of you picked up something new as well, and if you did, or you want to let me know what you think of the video, please do let me know in the comments below. All that's left to do now is put on some paint, assemble everything, and then take it for a swim. I decided to paint it like a panda, because it's one of the few bears that isn't just one color, like a brown or black bear. All in all, I think it doesn't look all that bad, and it'll be a nice decoration for the rear view mirror, or perhaps for the Christmas tree. My next lure will once again be a proper functioning one, so be sure to stay tuned for that video. And now with all that said, thanks for watching.